darling? Do you want to be on the podcast? No. Well, welcome to episode 79 of the YarnderWoman podcast. My name is Melinda. You can find me as YarnderWoman on Instagram and Ravelry. This is Smudge, who you can find on Instagram under #YarnderDog. He's my fur grandson. Today is, what is today? The 3rd of March, Sunday the 3rd of March, 2019. I am coming to you as always from my home in Perth, Western Australia. And I really welcome you today, and I'm so happy that you're here to join me, or join us. Smudge is in a quiet mood at the moment, so hopefully we'll just be enjoying his presence in an imagined way as opposed to him biting me, so fingers crossed. As I said, today is episode 79, so I'm very happy to be able to record again. I'm having longer between podcasts, but that's life, you know, busyness. I've been a little bit ill. Some of my fatigue has been playing up from my arthritis. I've had a stomach issue, all the things. It's all good fun. But I'm very pleased to be here today, and I've got lots of finished objects to show you. So I think we'll jump straight into that. I won't do a specified broaching the subject for you today, but I will show you. I've got felt Batman and the dark knit. So in case you're not aware, Batman is the Dark Knight, and they've covered up the G. I got this shirt on Etsy. Unfortunately, the seller is no longer in business, so sorry about that, but I hope you can enjoy it. You'll probably only just be able to see his head. But yes, double Batman. Oh, and I've got bat earrings as well. These are from Tall Rabbit, who are a Perth jewelry maker. So I'll be definitely sure to link to that if you're interested. But let's move on now, and we'll look at all my finished objects. My first finished object is off my Make 9 list. So in the previous episode, which was a shorter one, I went through some of the patterns that I have on my Make 9 2019. So that's a hashtag you can look up on Instagram. And the one I'm going to show you was the Pebbles and Pathways sock pattern by the wonderful Mars, who is Hey Brownberry of the podcast and design name. And I used her beautiful pattern and I sort of interpreted it into a hat, and this is it. And I'm so happy with how it turned out. So this is the pattern here. So it starts here and finishes here. I've just done it on the one side on this hat, but it worked really well with the number of stitches I did, which I just sort of made up and can't remember right now, but this will all be on my Ravelry project. I always upload all my details to my Ravelry project page. And while we're speaking of Ravelry and pages, there is a group for the YarnderWoman podcast where you can always find links to the episodes and the knit-alongs that we're having. So go to the groups tab on Ravelry, or show notes can be found at www.yarnderwoman.blogspot.com.au. But there's usually links to each other, like from YouTube to Ravelry to the show notes, all that sort of thing. Yes, so hopefully you can find it. If you ever have any issues finding anything, message me either on Ravelry or Instagram and I'll be happy to help you. So yes, whatever number of stitches I used, it worked out really well that with the pattern, the number of stitches here, I think I had even numbers of sort of, you know, plain stitches at each end of my needle. So I could have, and might for another project, do 3 panels of the hat, 3 panels of the pattern going around the hat, because the stitch count that I used for this particular yarn would work really nicely. But isn't it gorgeous? So as I said, the pattern starts here, then you've got this beautiful cable with garter here, and I'm quite pleased with this. When I was doing the decreases, let me cover my face there, here we go. I remembered to keep in patterns, so when I did the decreases here, I had them in garter stitch as well, and I sort of followed that. So I was quite pleased with that. Something I didn't think about was I didn't really look at the pattern for the ribbing of the sock, because that's a toe-up sock, so I wasn't really looking at that. I just looked at the stitch pattern. But it would have been better because I just did a 2x2 ribbing, it would have been better, but it doesn't really matter, if I'd done a 4x4 ribbing as is in the sock pattern, because see here, so one leg of the cable goes into ribbing there, so if I'd done a 4x4 it would have matched up nicely, but you know, it really doesn't matter. I think, you know, if I stretch it out how it would look on the head, yeah, it's not going to impact the wearing of the hat. So, you know, to be perfect, that's what I would have done, but it doesn't matter. This hat is going to be for my lovely mum, because she's been wanting, or she's been seeing me knit on some other hats that I'll show you soon, and she always asks, no matter what I'm knitting, she asks if it's for her. So I did tell her I'd make her a nice hat for winter. And she gets cold quite easily anyway, so with air conditioning or even without air conditioning, she seems to feel the cold quite a lot in her dementia-specific nursing home. So I think I will take it for her to wear and then bring it home, because even though this is a washable yarn, I don't want it to get you know, caught up in the industrial washing and go yucky, get ruined, in other words. This is the yarn itself. Motivera Starlight 8 ply, so it's a DK weight, and I don't think it's 1048 GK, the colorway. I think it maybe was called Grape. That colorway might have been listed in Ravelry as Grape, something like that. It's 95% acrylic, 5% polyester. So I think the polyester 5% is the sparkles. And this is yarn I've had in my stash for a little while, quite a while actually. And it's from Spotlight, which is one of the big box craft stores here. So I think that'll be nice and wearable. Therefore, if it does end up staying at mum's and going into the sort of industrial laundry, it might have a better chance of surviving. But I'd still prefer to bring it home and wash it myself. So we'll see how that goes. But I haven't shown mum yet, so when I do, I will be sure to film it so that you can see, because I know she'll get very excited, and I know you like to see her, and she likes to be on the podcast as well. The bag I used for this project is this gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous one from Little Skein in the Big Wool, with Little Red Riding Hood. There's Wolfie. So yes, loving that. So that's something off my Make 9 list, which is very pleasing indeed. I'm calling this finished, but it's not blocked, and it still has a stitch that I need to pick up and weave in, but I'm calling it finished because it's as good as. This is the hat pattern that I've sort of made up, but using, you know, not really anything specific. You've seen a lot of them before. This one is for my niece. That's to go with that one that's for my nephew that you have seen before, and you can still see I've got a weave in a stitch on that one too. These are cast on with 160 stitches, then just straight into stockinette to give the rolled brim. I use up most of the yarn, and then I do a 3 needle bind off. So I'll show you the inside. There. I think I ran out of yarn for the bind off on this one. That's why there's some white there. And there must have been a knot or something. There was some reason I had to rejoin the yarn. But yes, actually the whole bind off is done in a different coloured yarn that did have blue in it. You can see there, but there was quite a lot of white, but that's fine. This was going to be my cast on for the Pisces season make along that Kalisha of Quirky Monday Craft Cast was doing, but whips had to be 50% or less, which is more than reasonable, and I ended up finishing it before the cal even started, so there's that one. But I did do another hat for the Pisces season, Mel, and that's done too. Now this one hasn't been blocked either, but these aren't stitches that need to be picked up. These were markers just at the different points that I was knitting on it. So I think I knit on this, I had a couple of days training at work, so there are a couple of days here with training. There was one event I went to, I think for, oh, it was for the Perth Writers Festival. It was one of the pre-weekend events, because I think they call it Writers Week now. So it was an event on a woman who'd edited a book, and it was her presentation about it. I think it was about photography as a way of showing human rights issues. So I think that's what that biggest one there is from. And then little bits here and there, and I cast off. So same thing, I think I might have done 170 stitches on this one, but otherwise it's the same. But I'll show you the project bag it was in. This crabs bag, and that is by the bag maker Pedal Loop, who is sadly no longer making bags. She and her sister used to make bags, and I remember getting this one custom made several years ago for the crabs, because my star sign is Cancer, the crab, and so I thought that was quite well, because the Pisces season make along is for the star sign Pisces, which is Kalesha's star sign, also a water sign, crabs, the sea. It's all tied in nicely. This yarn, so for the make along you have to do either an ocean or water themed pattern, or use water ocean themed colours. So this yarn is actually called Aurora Borealis, but the turquoise and the greens and the purples, it's very much tropical fish and like a tropical reef is what it looks like to me. And the yarn was one that was a present from my good friend Lotta, from the Whole Lotta Yarn podcast. She hasn't podcasted in a while, she's on maternity leave. But this is one she'd sent me, which is how we met, in a project bag and yarn swap. So this is Poem Socks, and it's a 100-gram ball, so as you can see I didn't use it all by any means, because these ones, sorry I didn't say, this one is Felici, and those Felici yarn comes in a 50-gram ball, so I just used the whole thing. So I haven't weighed this yet to see how much I used, but I'm going to guess around about the same. Let's measure. You can see it's definitely a bigger cast on for this one, but otherwise the length looks about the same, so it might be about 50, or who knows. This one also has a dropped stitch. Hey, I misspoke earlier. At least they're not all drop stitches though, right? And you see it's very fuzzy, and that's just the way the yarn is. I'm not sure if it's showing up there. Anyway, it's very fuzzy, trust me. It's a single ply yarn, and it was quite interesting to knit with, because this piece here, you can see is sort of, you know, a normal fingering. There were times where it got really thick. Is that a thicker piece? And then there were times it was as thin as a cobweb lace, you know, really, really thin. But, you know, I think the gauge is, especially for this sort of a project, is fine. It will all balance out. And I think once it's blocked, it'll sort of, you know, relax, ease into itself. So it's not going to make any difference to the overall garment. But yes, that's my entry for the Pisces season, Mal. And it's beautiful. So that hat, as I said, is for my niece. This one is going to be for charity. I think that'll be really nice and cozy. And the last finished object is another hat in the same style, because this is what I do. This one I cast on for the Writers' Festival weekend. So the one I was knitting on for the Pisces season hat, that was the week before. And then I'd finished that hat by the end of that week. So I needed a new project. So again, I've left markers for all the times I was knitting. I cast on and knit that much in one session on a Friday evening. Then this is how much I did on the Saturday of the Writers' Festival. And somewhere in here, a few stitches were knit by the writer and essayist Fiona Wright, who's an Australian writer based over in Sydney. And I just got all the authors I was speaking to hold my knitting, but she is a knitter, so she said, oh, can I do some stitches? I said I'd be honoured. So that was very exciting.
Is it for kids?
Yes, it'll be for charity.
Oh,
I like
lovely.
to do, yeah, just...
Lovely. There you go, there's a few.
So this big section here, that was yesterday. I was waiting for someone at an appointment, so I got quite a lot done then, and was listening to an audiobook. I've finished it now. It was The Witch Elm by Tana French. The witch is spelled W-Y-C-H, that's the name of the elm tree. She's an Irish author. I've mentioned her a few years ago. She had a series called The Dublin Murder Squad. So this new book is not part of that series, but it's a murder mystery in Ireland, and the narrators do all the different Irish regional accents, so it's really adds so much to the book. It's great. So yes, I was knitting on this, listening to the audiobook, and then I just cast it off this morning. So exactly the same thing, 160 stitches, rolled brim, 3 needle bind off, and because I'm using the striped yarn, I make sure to do exact stitches all the way around. So I did 2 rows of the yellow before then casting off, just so it looks nice and neat on the top there. And I don't believe I've got any drop stitches on this one, which means the only reason these are there is because of markers. It's funny, I was knitting on, I think it was the Pisces season Mel hat, and wherever I happened to be, and there were all these little markers, and people said, oh, what are you knitting? And you know, what are those markers? I said, oh, they're just to show how much progress I got. And they said, oh, you should leave them on, they look good. And you know, with all respect to that, no, I don't think I will. Yes, very fun. This is a Felici as well. I think maybe the colorway's hopscotch. Again, that will be in my project page on Ravelry, which is linked in the show notes. And that's all the finished objects. So I've got quite a few whips as well. I've had a bit of cast-on-itis and have been really getting the needles going. So I'll show you now. Okay, forgive me if I've already shown you this or talked about it, but this is a hat I'm making for my daughter, the YarnderWoman, and it's to replace one she lost. I definitely have told you that part, but I think the part I haven't got to is that I've run out of yarn and I haven't finished yet. I ordered this yarn specially at the beginning of the year, and I didn't know I needed to. The colourway's sold out, and it was supposed to be restocked on the 28th of February. So I checked today on the 3rd of March that, oh, excellent, I can order some. No, now it says the 11th of April for the colourway. So, okay, this is going to stay as a long-term whip. Never mind. It's the Kit Kat hat pattern by Andre Sungitz. This is one of my Make 9. And yeah, it's going to have to be on hold. But it's in my fabulous Wonder Woman project bag, made for me by my friend Josie. So at least the hat has a nice bag to sit in while it's waiting. But never mind. Another project I'm knitting for the Under team is some socks for her birthday. Now her birthday is not till June, so I'm definitely ahead of the game. But I was just really keen to knit some socks, so I cast these on. Aren't they cool? Now these yarns, let me have a look. I've got 2 project bags going. This is the working project bag. This is by Suburban Stitcher, and it was sent to me as a Christmas present by my good friend Vicky, who's of Devixter Designs. And then I've also got this one going, and I don't know that this bag says who it's by, and I know this was a gift from a good friend, and I'm so sorry I've forgotten who it was. So if it was you, please remind me, because it has lots of good memories, because I know it was a gift. Because it's got the gorgeous red and black and white sheepies, and then it's got my favorite, red with white polka dots inside. So the yarns that I've got going here, the black on here is Berger de France, Gumi 50. It's just black, which I think is 295.70. Oh no, new? I don't know. It's black. Yep. And then I've also got for the heel something that was also sent to me by a good friend. This was sent to me by Barbara. It's lace weight reinforcing yarn. So when I did the heel, I held the Berger yarn and the reinforcing yarn together while I did the Fish Lips Kiss heel to reinforce it with the reinforcing yarn. And the yarns I'm using on the top, so these are yarns from Gnome Acres, who is sadly no longer dying, but they are the Harley Quinn and the Joker colorways. And if you know the story from DC Comics or movies, they're an item. Bit of a crazy item, but yes. So Harley Quinn on the top and Joker on the bottom. And in the middle here, I did some striping between to sort of, you know, fade them in. See, there's a bit of green here, there's a bit of red here. Just subtle. If I'd thought about it, I might have started it a bit earlier, but I didn't. So here it is. So what I did, I've only got small amounts of these yarns left. So I had, I think I've written it on here. I had 15 and 16 grams respectively of the Harley Quinn. And in doing the leg to however many it was that I did, I've written it down in my Ravelry notes. I had that much left of the 16 gram ball or cake, so that'll be the next one. So I just kept going, and I, you know, used a little bit more for the striping. I had thought about putting some more in on the bottom of the foot, but I thought no, it's fine. This is the rest of the Joker, and I actually have two kinds of Joker. This is the one I'm using, which is a 75-25 merino nylon base, and this one is an MCN. So you can see they're the same colorway, but because of the cashmere in this one, the colors are more muted. So I wasn't sure how much I would need of that one, so I was just going to put that one in at the end if I needed to, but luckily I didn't, because I think the MCN would have been on the foot, which is fine, but you know, it would go a bit fuzzy as it sort of already is, so it's better to have, for this purpose, the tighter wound. And I think this one is a BFL base, which is really nice. So yeah, I'm very happy with how these turned out. There's something very different, and I had thought about reversing them on the second sock and having Joker at the top, but I think I'll leave them this way because Sophie wears a lot more red and black. Actually, I don't know if she wears any green, so not that she'd care if they were, you know, she had a green sock sticking out, but this way, this will, what's showing will match most of her clothes. I haven't finished the toe yet. I do the toe from the Skedaddle, no, sorry. Yes, that's right. The Skedaddle sock pattern by Lena Gerald. I do the toe from that one, which is sort of a rounded toe, but then I Kitchener the top rather than cinching it, and I just haven't done that yet because once I finished the one sock, because I am not in a rush, I haven't cast on the second one, and I don't think I'll get second sock syndrome. It'll just, you know, because there's not a rush, by the time I get around to fancying knitting another sock in that yarn, I'll probably be feeling refreshed. So that's exciting. This is another project that should have been a finished object, but it's not. So this is in an Alice in Wonderland bag made for me by my dear friend Julia, and inside is something that I can't believe I've never knit before. It's the partial ingredients, I was going to say, pieces, components of a brooch. Now, broaching the subject, how have I never thought to knit a brooch before? This was going to be a present, well, it is still a present, but it was going to be given on day 2 of the Writers' Festival weekend. I was going to be giving it to the author and activist Carly Finlay. I will link to her in the show notes. She is a disability and facial difference activist. She has the condition ichthyosis, which is a very severe skin condition, and she's written a book called Say Hello, which is fantastic. It's sort of a memoir and activist piece. It's really, really good. Now, I saw Carly on the Friday night of the weekend. She was on a panel discussion, and I didn't bring my copy of Say Hello for her to sign because she was in a hurry. She only had limited time to sign, so I thought I'll let other people take time with her because I'll be seeing her on the Sunday. That's when I was sick. I had tickets for her event and some others that were paid as well, so I sadly wasn't able to go. So I've contacted her saying, oh, can I have your postal address please, because now I'm going to have to send you your present. I really don't think she watches, but Carly, I hope this doesn't spoil anything if you are, but I really don't think she watches. But this pattern, it's listed on Ravelry, but it's purchased on Etsy. And it's by Elm Knit Designs, and it's called Knitted Bows in 3 sizes. It starts by saying, I'm sorry, the pattern states to use fingering weight yarn and I think a 3 or a 3.5mm needle. But I found, and I'll insert a picture, when I did that it was just way too floppy and see-through holes, so I ripped that out and it really was 10 minutes of knitting, so it's fine. So I then swapped to an Aran weight yarn and had much better results. So this is Cyborg's Craft Room in the Mai Tai colourway. Dyed by lovely Megan, rest in peace. I used this yarn several years ago to knit a Brontosaurus. Was it a Brontosaurus or a Diplodocus? Either one. It was a long-necked dinosaur, because at the time my nephew was dinosaur obsessed in general, but he very specifically liked long-necked dinosaurs, he told me. So this yarn was just beautiful. Megan's dyeing was just incredible. So it looked really nice in a toy, and I think it looks fabulous on a bow. So I haven't put it together yet. That part will go in the middle, and then I'll attach a brooch clasp on the back. And then I'm definitely going to make myself one. As I said, I just sort of can't believe I never knit a brooch before. So yes, as I said, it was going to be a gift on the Sunday, and I was going to finish it off the Saturday night, and there would have been plenty of time were I not already feeling sick. So that's a shame. That should hopefully be in the finished object box. It really hasn't got much to do, but it's been out of sight, out of mind, you know, now that I'm going to post it and there's no rush. It's kind of taken a back seat, but I will get there. After I finished knitting those Joker and Harley Quinn socks, as I said, I wasn't keen to start the second one straight away, but I was keen to knit another pair of socks, but one's for me. And I really wanted to be doing the Kia socks pattern, which is by Dawn Henderson, who is dawn.landix on Instagram. And this is a free sock pattern she put out as a way to celebrate the diversity in the knitting community in response to all the issues that have been coming out, as I've mentioned in previous episodes, in relation to racism and lack of inclusion and diversity. So these patterns are a celebration for everyone, and she's got a year-long knit-along for them, so Kia Socks Carol. And these are, oops, I'm dropping needles everywhere, I'm using DPNs. Oh, and I'm halfway through a heel, that's why. So these are mine. I've done little ankle sock versions, and I love the colour combination, the red and grey. So this is the pattern. As I said, it's a free pattern, so you just download it off Ravelry, but it makes little equal signs using garter stitch. Isn't that fabulous? What a clever idea. Clever idea for a beautiful pattern and a way to communicate the intention. It's just so clever, Dawn. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So the yarn I'm using for the grey is a Knit Picks Felici, and it's the Stormy Sky colourway. And I just have one ball, and that's going to be more than enough, especially because I decided to do ankle socks and the contrasting heels, toes and cuffs. But I thought I'll divide it into two just to make sure I don't go over 25 grams per sock. And to do that, it was very, a little bit messy, and there were a lot of tangles, but I just essentially disemboweled the skein onto the scales. So I just had this massive big mess, and then I untangled it and wound it into a separate ball. So that's how I roll, and it worked fine, so it's no problem. The red that I'm using is Happy Feet by Countrywide Yarns. This is one I got at, I think it was like a quilting and craft show. So I believe it's a New Zealand yarn. Yes. Shade 47 for the red. And then on the heel, I'm using again some Regia reinforcing thread given to me by Barbara. And it's almost an exact match, but not quite. You can see the reinforcing thread is slightly more orangey. So it has changed the color of the heel to make it slightly more orangey, but it's really not that big a deal. It's fine. It's a very close match and very good. So I definitely wanted the reinforcement there. As I said, I'm using DPNs when I usually use 2 circulars, but I bought these because I wanted to try them, and these are actually 2mm, whereas I usually do 2.25. So I think 2.25 is a US 1, so I think 2mm is a US 0. but I've been wanting to make a denser fabric, but I'm hoping now that I've still got the stitch count right and it's not going to be too small. So I sort of using my own sock recipe. I did 68 stitches for the ribbing, and I did a 1x1 twisted rib, and then I went down to 64 stitches for the leg, the ankle really, and then I've gone back up to 68 for the fish lips kiss heel, and I'm halfway through the fish lips kiss heel. I've got these gorgeous little sock stitch markers from Little Skein and the Big Wool. Beautiful red beads, and they're just so tiny, perfect. And I stopped halfway because with the smaller needle and using the reinforcing thread, it was actually really, really tight. That's going to be a very dense heel, which is good, but it's also why I'm a little bit scared it might be too small. I guess if it's too small, it will probably fit Sophie, my stepdaughter. In which case I'll just have to knit myself some more, but I'm hoping these will fit me. It's one of those things, you know, I've got my sock recipe down with the 2.25mm needles. So it's all experimenting, and hey, it's just knitting. So it's all experimenting, it'll be fine. Someone will wear them. I'm not really one to rip things out to re-knit. I guess maybe I would for a jumper or something bigger. Who knows, haven't made my own jumper or sweater yet. But yeah, for socks, I usually just try and find someone to fit them, which is usually Sophie. So how cute is this bag and matching DPN holder? These were sent to me by my friend Michelle as a complete surprise, and I just love it. Wonder Woman is my favorite. And it's so cool, perfect size for these DPNs. But I got the gold inside. So yes, perfect holders for this project. And I'll probably finish off that heel maybe today, maybe tomorrow. It's public holiday Monday here tomorrow. I'm gonna go and visit Mum in the morning, and then the afternoon I should be doing some meal prepping, meal planning and food prep, but I'm sure I can find some time to do that heel. We shall see. So this last work in progress I'm going to show you is particularly special. On Valentine's Day, 14th of February, I got a text from my good friend Vicky that I mentioned earlier, who's Devixter of Devixter Designs, and she'd been telling me she had a pattern, sorry, paper you see. She had been telling me she was going to release a new pattern on Valentine's Day. And then I woke up to a link to the pattern, and it was called the Melinda Shawl. She has designed a pattern and named it after me. And OMG, that's just amazing. I was so blown away and so touched. That's even better, it's free. She's put it out for free for everyone. And she sort of references that I do a lot of charity knitting, and so she said that this is a project that she knit with me in mind, something that's quite easy so I can take it when I'm traveling or doing other things, making it for charity, making it for myself, other people doing charity or themselves or gifts, whatever. Yeah, blown away. I'm so touched, and yeah, so I couldn't help but cast it on straight away, and we've got a cowl, a knit along to go with it. So let me continue rumpling pages and I will show you. This is the Melinda Shawl. So the front page, and I actually have this shawl. I should have brought it over, I'm sorry, I've put it away. This version here, she actually sent me for Christmas, and she just said, oh, it's a design, I haven't published it yet. And the thing is, I've worn it a lot. It's been really good to just throw on the chilly summer mornings, things like that. So yes, Melinda Shawl by Victoria Zakanowicz, Devixter Designs. As I said, it's free pattern on Ravelry. And we are having a knit along. So the knit along started on the day the pattern was released, 14th of February. And I'm gonna run it for a couple of months because, you know, there's no rush. It's meant to be quite, you know, gentle, and I know other people have got other things happening, so there's no need for us to rush. So 3 months, I think it is. It finishes the 14th of May, so February to March. Yes, 3 months, I can count. Enough chatter, here is my version. Hello, beautiful. Of course, I had to do it in red. My shawl, my name, my color. So this yarn is by Villains French company who has the best names for her colorways, as well as just loving this yarn. You know, it's a beautiful red color. It's actually showing more orangey on the screen. It's actually, I mean, it is an orangey red, but it's not quite as bright as that. So it's orange with some dark blue speckles throughout. And I think there's some yellow speckles, but they're very light. So, you know, they're not that obvious, which is fine with me. And as I said, awesome colorway names. This one is called Wonder Woman's Costume. How cool is that? So awesome. And it's knitting up beautifully. Look at it. And I just love using this speckledy yarn with it because you can see how it's just showing up in little blips along the way. This is actually a progress keeper. That's just how much, I think maybe it was what I was knitting on yesterday. But yeah, just a progress keeper. And it's so beautiful. And it's very easy. It looks, you know, there's all this fanciness with the lace holes, but that's only, you know, every few rows, and then the rest of the time it's all knit stitches. So it's wonderful that you get this great effect without having to be too fiddly, which is, I think, what Vicky was intending with the design. So happy. And the pattern calls, I think it's a 3.5mm needle with a fingering weight, but I did 4mm. And so mine, and this yarn is got a particularly tight twist. So I'm getting quite a good drape with this because it's much more, I suppose it's a much looser gauge. And I love it. I'm so happy. I can't wait to wear it. I think I'm close-ish to the end, but I've got quite a bit of yarn, and Vicky gives directions on how to extend it. So it's very, you know, changeable. That's not the word I want. Flexible. There we go. Very flexible. There's sort of the small and the large design, pattern instructions, but there's ways to just sort of work with what you've got as well. So yes, the Melinda shawl. How awesome is this? So I might have just said that was the last work in progress to show you, but I do have one more, and I've just cast this on. So that's all I've got so far. It's another hat that's going to be a rolled brim one, and probably cast off with a 3-needle bind off. Now, I needed some knitting to take with me tonight. I'm going to a concert of the band Web Rumors, and I have their bag that I'm going to take as my handbag for tonight. So I got this they're a local Perth band, and they were just supposed to be doing a one-off performance at a show I saw last year, but they've actually stayed together, which is great because I love their music. They're all-female band. They've got like you sort of, you know, keys and guitar regular instruments, but they've also got saxophone, and Em Burrows, the Perth musician, is the singer, and she's wonderful. They're all wonderful. So yes, I needed some knitting to take not only on the train, but I can knit on while I'm both waiting for the show to start and during. And I'm going to use more Felici, but I have sort of the ends of balls that I'm going to use up. So I'm starting with this one, which I'm pretty sure is the Foxglove colorway. And then next will be this one here. And I can't remember the name of that one. I'll have to check through my projects. It should still be in my Ravelry unless I never put it in there for some reason. But maybe hopscotch? No, it's not hopscotch. It's not gummy bears. It is a Ravelry. A Felici yarn. If you know, just by looking at it, let me know either in the comments below or on the thread on Ravelry. And then this one I know is hibiscus, so that'll be the last one if I need it. So they sort of fade in, you know, this is all purples and pinks. This is purples and pinks with a light blue. And then this kind of goes into, you know, darker purples and brings in other colours. So that's how it will be. I think it'll be fine. I've got it in my Bling Your String project bag. I just like this one. It's nice and sturdy because it's double lined, so the needles won't poke through. And just the nice black and white is good. So yes, that's I think I've cast on and not even done a full round yet, I think, so very early project, but you'll see more of that later. So, as well as the Melinda Shaw knit along, sorry, we've also got our plan along happening. Now that was going to wrap up at the end of February, but because of the delays I had in podcasting in February, I've decided to extend that to the end of March, so it gives you lots more time. So all the details are in the thread, but essentially if you are doing a make 9 or a 3-2-1 make, I know Lisa Saratoga Knitting of the Knitting by the Sea podcast is doing a 3-2-1 make. I saw someone else on the thread for the plan along was doing a crafting bingo. Anything like that, or even if you have no list and you just plan to make the next thing you want to make, that counts as well. So yes, do come and join. We've just got the one thread, so chat, look at other people's projects and comment, show us your work in progress, put your finished object photos, anything like that counts, and then prizes will be drawn from that thread at the end of March. So the prizes, we have 3 beautiful patterns. One is the Rustic Elegance Shawl by Jen Sheelan, the Penny Pearls Sweater by Victoria Zukanowicz, who is the designer of the Melinda Shawl. And we've just recently had an edition of the Ursula's Path Cowl by Fiona Clark, which is another beautiful cowl another beautiful pattern. It's a cowl and it's got these big sort of sweeping patterns. So that's really interesting, really lovely. And Autumn, who's Cottington, friend of the podcast, has generously said she will sew us a project bag, and she has done that before and just sent it straight to the recipient. So she's going to do that for us again. So lovely, lovely prizes. So do come and join. As I said, just chat, knit, crochet, whatever you're doing. And let us know what you're doing, and if you're ticking things off your list, if you've got a list. Remember, you don't have to have a list. And with the Melinda Shaw cowl, we will definitely have some prizes, but I don't have those yet, so watch this space. I was going to say keep an eye on this space. That's not the phrase. Anyway, it's fine. That one, as I said, doesn't finish till the 14th of May, so we've got a little bit of time. If you are a maker or a designer and you'd love to donate a prize, I would love to promote you. So please do get in touch if you'd like, no problem whatsoever. If you don't want to or it's not possible, that's fine. Some other knit-alongs that are not mine, but ones I'm going to be participating in. There's the Finally Fix It cowl by Mars of Hay Brownberry. So she's the designer of the hat I showed earlier that is based on her sock pattern, Pebbles and Pathways. So this is all about mending and fixing things, maybe re-knitting or picking, restitching, whatever. So I've mentioned in my previous episode that that is something I definitely want to do because I've got a lot of things that need mending. Isabel from Fluffy Fibres has been talking about mending, and Anushka, who is a Sour Telling on Instagram, and she has the Crimson Stitchery podcast. She's done 2 episodes and fabulous. You must watch it. Really, really good. So wonderful to have another new voice in the podcasting community, and she has a segment on mending for each of her 2 episodes, and she's going to continue to do that as she goes forward. So lots of inspiration for me to do my mending. Have I done any mending yet? No, but that's okay. I've got lots of inspiration, and I'm building it. I'm building the feeling. So soon my mending will just burst forth and I will be mending stuff or something. I'll show you when it happens, but I really want to do it. I really do. So we'll get there. Anyway. Another make along that Mars is doing, so as well as the Finally Fix It, she's doing one called the Headspace Hat make along. Headspace, as well as being a concept of, we need headspace, is an app for meditation and sort of guided meditation and that sort of thing. And Mars talks about how that's a tool she likes to use in her mornings, along with meditation, yoga, knitting. And so her great idea is to have a hat knit along or crochet along that you can make your hat and also give yourself some headspace. So relax and take time for yourself while you're knitting those hats, which I think is a fabulous idea. And I'm very, very pleased to participate because you might have been able to see I'm quite in a hat kick at the moment. So that hat I cast on today that I'm going to take to the gig with me tonight, that is going to be my first entry in the Headspace make-along. So links to all to that and the other makers and knit-alongs will be in the show notes. And let me know if you are doing any any fixing. Try and give me more inspiration. I should have enough, shouldn't I? But give me more. I'm organising an in-person knit group in the northern suburbs of Perth. So apologies if you are not in Perth, you won't be able to come, but it's very exciting because it's something I've been wanting to do for a while, and I just sort of decided to do it. So I'll link to the thread I've made in the West Australian knit group in Ravelry. But the details, if you are going to be in Perth, you know, it's in the northern suburbs, but if you're anywhere in Perth and are happy to drive further, then please do join us as well. It'll be on the 10th of March from 1 till 3 o'clock, but we can stay longer if we're all into it, in the Wanneroo Library and Cultural Centre building, which is 3 Rockaway, Wanneroo. There's a big foyer area. There's a cafe there if you want to buy a drink or food or anything, but you don't have to because we'll just be in the foyer of the building. And yeah, bring your knitting, bring your crochet, bring anything, and come and join us. Now, I will specify this is an event for people of all backgrounds, diversities, anything. Bigots and racists, please don't bother coming, because I want this to be a safe space. That is my intention, for it to be a safe space for everyone. So yes, let's keep it that way, okay? But yes, it's very exciting. So I'm thinking maybe it'll be sort of a monthly event, like maybe the second Saturday of every month, but we can play with that, play it by ear. So yes, first one will be 10th of March, 1 o'clock. So let me know if you're coming. I will have a separate thread, as well as in the WA knitting group. I'll have a separate thread in the podcast group as well. And it'd be wonderful to see you. And if you're not in Perth, I'm very sorry, but please come and chat on the episode Ravelry thread so we can have a chat. As well as the Writers' Festival, there's been the general Perth Festival, which is part of the gig that I'm seeing tonight, and there's also been the Perth Fringe Festival. And I saw several great shows, one of which was amazing. It was called My Greatest Period Ever. It was presented by Lucy Peach. And yes, period, it was talking about menstruation. So using comedy and song and spoken word, Lucy looked at the 4 stages of a menstrual cycle and looked at ways to not make it, to stop looking at it as the curse, you know, that's often the euphemism, and looking at ways to harness the different periods of the period. Sorry, that was an unintentional pun. Different phases of the period, of the cycle, to use it for your benefit. So, you know, there's part of the cycle. I learned so much, you know, I'm 40 and a half and I learned so much, which I think just speaks volumes to how much menstruation and women's issues are just not discussed in society, and there's still so much medical gender bias, even from female doctors, because it's internalized. So yeah, I'm learning so much. Awesome. So yeah, different parts of your cycle where you've got more energy to do things, where you can give more to other people. Then there's the end of the cycle, which is, you know, PMS, where no, don't just rest, you know. But the show was great, and she actually, during the show, as she talked through these 4 parts of the cycle, you know, asked, if hands up in the audience, who was in that cycle at the time. And then she had special capes, and got a person for each segment up on stage and, you know, sort of crowned them as the queen of that part of the cycle. So I was in my PMS phase, so I got crowned Queen PMS, which was awesome. I didn't get a photo of me in the cape, unfortunately, but I went up on stage and she sort of flung lavender essential oil on me with my consent. She asked first, and then I got this great cape, and, you know, I just got to, you know, talk about it. It was great. So much fun, and as I said, so informative and just really, really important information. So I will link to Lucy's website. She has a brief, sort of a brief overview. So the show I saw was an hour. This is, I think, maybe a 11-minute thing where she did a TED talk, and she sort of went through an overview of the things. So good, so good. yes, I had a great time. Now, I just realised I have previously talked on the podcast, you know, I'm quite open with my health stuff. I've talked about how I may actually have early menopause because, again, just being open, I didn't have a period for about a year, but this year they've sort of started again, hence why, you know, I'm now looking at my cycles, and I did have PMS because I was actually having a period, or coming up to having a period. So I may still be in perimenopause, which is the phase just before full menopause. This is not meant to be TMI, it's just because I've previously shared about the menopause, and I know lots of us are in different phases. Viewers out there with a uterus, so that's, you know, I didn't say women because, you know, other people can have a uterus as well, depending on how you identify. So yeah, it's not meant to be TMI, but I think, you know, yeah, let's talk about it. It's a health and a life issue, so let's not be shy. Bring it out there. The power of the period. Go and watch Lucy's video because it's very funny and very informative. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to wrap up now because I've got to have something to eat before I head out to the show. I think the band starts at 6, so it's an early start. Maybe there'll be food there and food trucks. We shall see. There's more and more vegan food becoming available, which is very good to see. Makes it much easier to go out. But hey, if it's not, that's fine too. So thank you so much for joining me today. Smudge is still sleeping peacefully. Such a good boy down here next to me. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. Please do continue the conversation, or start a conversation, I should say, either down below on the YouTube comments or on the thread for the Ravelry, on the Ravelry thread for this episode. I love to hear what you're doing. Oh yes, and tell me what you're doing when you're watching or listening, because I think it was Sarah Writes Etc. posted on Instagram that when she was watching the previous episode, she was actually unpicking dolls' clothes to make patterns for new ones, which was fabulous, and I was very happy to hear that. So thank you, Sarah, for telling me. And I know I've mentioned before my friend Twee from Twisted Stitches. She watches the podcast and other podcasts when she's stuck in horrible LA traffic. So yes, let me know what you're doing while you're watching this. I'd love to hear from you, or just let me know anything at all that you'd like to chat about. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you're having a wonderful day or evening, whatever you are doing. Take care. I will see you next time, and happy crafting. Bye bye. You finished podcasting, Smudgy? You're having a sleep, darling. Such a good boy. Such a good boy. Don't even think about it, Smudgy. That yarn is not for you.